When you walk into a room before you even speak, people already decide how much respect they'll give you. It's not about the clothes you wear or the title you hold. It's about how you carry yourself, how your words land, and how your presence feels. Have you ever noticed how some people barely speak, yet when they do, everyone stops and listens? It's not luck. It's not power. It's skill. The skill of speaking in a way that commands respect without demanding it. Because the truth is, people don't listen to those who shout the loudest. They listen to those who speak with certainty, calm, and purpose. The way you speak tells the world exactly how to treat you. So today, I want to show you how to speak like the kind of person everyone respects, not out of fear, but out of admiration. Before you ever open your mouth, people are already reading you. They notice how you stand, how you breathe, how you move. They sense whether you're sure of yourself or trying too hard to prove something. Respect doesn't begin with your words. It begins with your presence. When you walk into a room, you're communicating long before you speak. If your shoulders are slouched, your eyes darting, or your energy restless, you're silently telling others that you doubt yourself. But when you walk in grounded, calm, upright, and collected, you send a very different message. I belong here. People respond to that. They may not even know why, but they feel it. Presence is not arrogance. It's not walking in with a loud ego or a sense of superiority. True presence is quiet strength. It's the balance between confidence and humility. You don't need to announce yourself because your composure already does it for you. The most respected people in any room are not those who talk the most, but those who radiate certainty in silence. Their posture speaks of assurance. Their stillness speaks of control. That's the kind of energy people lean toward: steady, measured, and self-assured. When you prepare to speak, remember that your tone and body language will carry your message before your words do. If your body says unsure, your words won't save you. But if your body says steady, even simple words carry weight. Try this. Before you speak in any situation, whether it's a meeting, a conversation, or a presentation, pause. Breathe. Lift your chin slightly. Lock into calm eye contact, not as a challenge, but as a connection. That one moment of grounding gives your mind authority and your words strength. It tells your audience that you are in control, not of them, but of yourself. People respect what they can trust, and they trust what feels composed. The way you hold yourself signals whether you can handle pressure, whether you can stay steady when things get hard. That's what earns respect. Not the loud voice, not the fast talk, but the quiet confidence that says, I've got this. When you master that energy, you no longer chase attention. Attention naturally comes to you. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to reinforce that presence. Even when you disagree, keep your voice calm. Even when you're challenged, stay grounded. The more you show control, the more others will feel compelled to listen. Respect is a reflection. It mirrors how you present yourself. So, before you try to impress with your words, make sure your presence already speaks for you. Stand tall, breathe steady, and let your calm be louder than your voice. Because when your presence commands respect, your words don't have to fight for it. They simply receive it. Power isn't about how loud you are. It's about how controlled you are. Anyone can shout. Anyone can lose their temper and try to dominate a room with noise. But the people who truly command respect are the ones who don't have to prove anything. They stay calm, steady, and composed, even when everyone else is losing control. That calmness is not weakness. It's strength under discipline. Because when you can hold your ground without raising your voice, you show the world that you're not ruled by emotion, you're guided by intention. Think about the last time someone shouted at you. Did their words make you respect them more or less? Most likely, you stopped hearing their message the moment their tone turned harsh. When emotions run high, logic runs low. That's why composure is so powerful. It keeps your message intact while others lose theirs. The louder someone gets, the less control they actually have. The quieter you become, the more authority your voice gains. When you speak calmly, every word lands with clarity. When you raise your voice, your words lose precision and meaning. Staying composed under pressure doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, it means mastering them. You can feel anger, frustration, or disappointment without letting those emotions dictate your response. That's what separates powerful communicators from impulsive ones. Before you react, take a breath. Give yourself a moment to choose your tone, your pace, and your words. That pause is where your power lives. It tells others you are not moved by chaos, you are guided by control. People naturally trust calm energy. In an argument, the composed person always appears more credible. In a crisis, the steady voice is the one people follow. Why? Because calm brings clarity. When others sense that you won't break under pressure, they begin to see you as reliable, dependable, and strong. It's not your loudness that earns their respect. It's your restraint. The person who can remain calm in heat and chaos holds the most control in the room. True composure is contagious. When you remain grounded, you silently influence the environment around you. Your calm tone lowers tension. Your steady presence brings balance. People mirror what they feel, and when they feel calmness from you, they subconsciously start to match it. That's quiet leadership, the kind that doesn't need to shout directions but still gets everyone to follow. The next time you face a heated discussion or a challenging situation, remind yourself, the louder you get, the weaker your point sounds. Speak with composure, and even your silence will have weight. Power isn't about proving your dominance. It's about proving your control. And when you can control yourself, you can influence everything around you. That's the kind of power people remember, and that's the kind of strength they respect. Silence is one of the most underrated tools of communication. Most people are uncomfortable with it. They rush to fill every gap, every pause, every quiet moment with words. But those who understand the power of silence never waste their breath. They know that when used intentionally, silence is not emptiness, it's presence. It draws attention, it builds tension, and it demands focus. When you stop speaking, people lean in. They wait. They anticipate your next word. And in that moment, your silence becomes louder than anyone else's voice. The mistake most people make is thinking that respect comes from constant talking. But real authority is often found in restraint. When you pause before you speak, it shows confidence. It tells the room that you are not afraid of stillness or judgment. You're thinking, you're deliberate. That pause adds gravity to your next sentence. The listener senses that your words aren't random, they're chosen. And that alone makes people listen differently. Because when you use silence well, you separate yourself from those who speak without intention. Silence also protects you. It gives you a shield against impulsive reactions and emotional outbursts. In heated moments, silence is your best defense. When someone tries to provoke you, their power depends on your reaction. The moment you respond emotionally, they win. But when you stay silent, you take that power back. You deny them control over your emotions. You communicate strength without saying a single word. The ability to stay silent in chaos shows a level of maturity most never reach. It says you choose peace over proving a point. Think of leaders, negotiators, or even interrogators, the ones who know how to wait, how to pause, how to let the other person fill the space. Silence makes people reveal themselves. It makes them talk more than they intended, show more than they wanted, because silence feels heavy to those who fear it. But to someone who has mastered it, silence is light, natural, effortless. It's a tool to read others, to observe, to understand. When you pause before answering, you also show respect. It tells the person in front of you that you're actually listening, that you value what was said enough to think before replying. People notice that. They feel seen, heard, and acknowledged. And that small gesture of silent reflection builds deeper respect than any perfect speech could. Silence gives meaning to your words. It frames them, shapes them, and gives them weight. So, learn to be comfortable with quiet. Don't rush to fill every space. Let your silence speak for you sometimes. Let it show your self-control, your awareness, your presence. Because silence doesn't make you weaker. It makes you unreadable. And being unreadable is powerful. When you use silence with confidence, people listen more carefully when you finally do speak. And that is how you command a room. Not with noise, but with poise. Your tone carries your truth more loudly than your words ever will. You can have the right message, the right facts, even the right intentions. But if your tone is off, people stop hearing what you mean. They start reacting to how you make them feel. Your tone can build bridges, or it can burn them. It can open hearts, or it can close minds. That's why powerful communicators pay attention not just to what they say, but to how they say it. They understand that tone isn't just sound, it's energy. It tells others whether you're confident, defensive, kind, or insecure. And that energy decides how your message is received. When you speak with a calm, grounded tone, people feel safe listening to you. They sense control, balance, and purpose in your voice. But when you speak too fast, too sharp, or too loud, your words begin to lose credibility. The more emotional your tone becomes, the less people focus on your message, and the more they focus on your mood. Think of someone who argues with anger. They might be right, but no one wants to hear them. Meanwhile, someone who speaks with patience and steadiness instantly earns attention. People respect composure because it's rare. It's not easy to keep your tone balanced when your emotions want to take over. Your tone should always reflect intention, not impulse. Before you respond to anyone, especially in conflict, take a moment to choose your tone deliberately. Ask yourself, do I want to be heard, or do I just want to react? If you want to be heard, speak with clarity and composure. Lower your volume slightly, slow your pace, and focus on breathing evenly. When your tone is steady, your message becomes undeniable. Even disagreement sounds more intelligent when spoken calmly. It tells the listener that you are not driven by ego, but by understanding. Controlling your tone also means knowing how to match it with the moment. Sometimes firmness is necessary. Other times, empathy has more power. The key is awareness. Notice how people respond to your voice. Do they lean in or pull back? Do they interrupt or stay silent? Those reactions tell you how your tone is landing. Great communicators are not born with perfect voices. They develop emotional intelligence that shapes their delivery. They learn to adjust tone like a musician tunes an instrument, subtle changes that make all the difference. The more control you have over your tone, the more influence you gain. A calm tone commands respect because it reflects self-respect. It shows that you don't need to shout to be heard or rush to be relevant. You speak from certainty, not from fear. And that certainty spreads. People mirror it, they match it, they trust it. So every time you open your mouth, remember, your tone tells the story of who you are. Let it tell the story of someone who leads, not someone who reacts. Because when you master your tone, you don't just speak, you shape the room. Being direct is not about being rude, it's about being real. People often confuse honesty with harshness, but they are not the same. Honesty comes from clarity, while harshness comes from ego. When you speak directly, you're not trying to hurt anyone. You're trying to be understood. There's a difference between saying something to prove a point and saying something to make a point. The first comes from pride. The second comes from purpose. And purpose-driven communication is what earns respect. People may not always like what you say, but they will respect the fact that you said it with truth and integrity. The reason most people avoid directness is fear. Fear of conflict, fear of being disliked, fear of being judged, so they hide their truth behind soft words, long explanations, and unnecessary apologies. But here's the thing, when you sugarcoat your message too much, people stop taking your words seriously. You start sounding unsure, hesitant, or easily influenced. Confidence doesn't need extra decoration. It needs precision. You don't need to talk in circles to be polite. You can speak with kindness and still be firm. In fact, clarity is one of the highest forms of respect. It means you value someone enough to give them the truth, not confusion. When you're direct, you save time, energy, and misunderstanding. Instead of saying, maybe we could try this if everyone agrees, you can say, I suggest we move forward with this plan. Instead of saying, I don't want to be rude, but I think this might not work, you can say, "This approach isn't effective. Let's fix it." Notice the difference. It's not harsh. It's clear. It doesn't attack anyone, but it doesn't hide either. The goal is not to sound superior, it's to sound certain. And certainty is what makes your words carry authority. Being direct also builds trust. People know where you stand, and they never have to guess what you really mean. They may not always agree with you, but they'll know you're honest. Over time, that honesty earns more respect than any attempt to please everyone, because those who always agree with everything rarely stand for anything. When you speak with clarity, you send a silent message. You respect yourself enough to express your thoughts truthfully, and you respect others enough to tell them the truth. But remember, directness without empathy becomes arrogance. The power lies in balance. Say what you mean, but say it with grace. Use words that build, not break. Be firm, but never cruel. You can be both assertive and compassionate at the same time. That's what makes your message not just heard, but felt. So the next time you need to speak your mind, don't soften your truth out of fear, and don't sharpen it out of anger. Say it clearly, calmly, and confidently. Because when you speak with honesty and intention, people don't just listen, they trust you. And trust is the foundation of all lasting respect. The hardest part of communication isn't finding the right words. It's controlling the emotions behind them. Most people speak from reaction, not reflection. They let frustration, anger, or insecurity color their tone, and by the time the words are out, the damage is already done. But real strength is learning to separate what you feel from what you say. It's not about hiding your emotions, it's about mastering them. Because when you lose control of your emotions, you give control of the conversation to someone else. The one who stays calm always holds the upper hand. There will always be moments that test you. Someone cuts you off mid-sentence, questions your worth, or tries to provoke you just to see if you'll lose your balance. In those moments, your instinct will want to fight back, to defend yourself instantly. But that's when you pause. That's when you take one deep breath before responding. Because that single breath is your power. It gives you space between impulse and action. In that space, you choose how to show up. You can either match their chaos, or you can lead with composure. When you stay calm in the face of tension, you silently send a message. You can't shake me. People respect those who remain composed under pressure because it's rare. Anyone can stay calm when things go right. True composure shows when things go wrong. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I won't let my emotions speak louder than my intelligence." The moment you can speak without letting anger take the wheel, you elevate yourself above the noise. You stop being reactive and start being strategic. Every word you say becomes intentional. You're not speaking to win an argument. You're speaking to lead it. Detaching emotion from expression doesn't mean becoming cold or robotic. It means responding with awareness instead of impulse. You can still express disappointment without raising your voice, still show passion without losing control, still stand firm without hostility. The difference lies in discipline. It's choosing not to let temporary emotions create permanent damage. When you express yourself calmly, your words hit deeper because they're not clouded by chaos. They're powered by clarity. People often remember not what you said, but how you made them feel. If your emotions overwhelm your expression, people stop hearing your message and start defending themselves. But when you speak with composure, even hard truths become easier to receive. You earn respect because your presence feels stable, dependable, safe. Others trust you more because you've proven you can handle tension without crumbling under it. So the next time you feel your emotions rising, don't rush to speak. Pause. Breathe. Reclaim your control before you respond. Remember, emotional control is not weakness, it's mastery. You're not suppressing your emotions, you're directing them with purpose. That's what separates ordinary communicators from exceptional ones. When you detach emotion from expression, you stop reacting like everyone else and start leading like those everyone else listens to. Listening is not a passive act, it's an art, and the most respected communicators are masters of it. Most people listen only to respond. They're waiting for their turn to speak, crafting replies in their head while the other person is still talking. But when you truly listen, without interruption or distraction, you make the other person feel seen. You show them that their voice matters. And that simple act of genuine attention earns more respect than 1,000 powerful words ever could. Listening is not weakness. It's a quiet form of strength. It takes control to stay silent, to stay present, to put your ego aside and let someone else speak fully. When you listen carefully, you gain information others miss. You hear the tone beneath the words, the emotion behind the message. You start understanding not just what someone is saying, but why they're saying it. And that awareness gives you an advantage in every conversation. It allows you to respond with precision, not assumption. It lets you speak in a way that hits where it matters most, because you're addressing the real issue, not just the noise on the surface. Listening builds emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence builds influence. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel heard. Think about it. When someone listens to you without judgment, without rushing you, how do you feel? Safe, valued, respected. That's the kind of connection that turns communication into influence. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room to lead it. You just have to be the one who listens deeply and then speaks with understanding. That balance between silence and speech creates authority that feels earned, not forced. Listening also teaches patience. It reminds you that every story has more than one side. Every opinion has a reason behind it. You may not agree with what you hear, but respect doesn't require agreement. It requires awareness. When you listen, you show discipline. You show maturity. You tell the other person, I value this moment enough to give it my full attention. And that level of focus is powerful because it's rare. In a world that's always in a hurry, being fully present has become extraordinary. Listening also shapes the way others listen to you. When people feel you've heard them, they become more open to hearing you in return. Respect is reciprocal. It flows both ways. The best communicators use listening as their foundation. They let others speak first, they absorb, and then they respond with clarity and intention. Their words carry weight because they're rooted in understanding, not ego. So, in every conversation, remind yourself that silence can be as powerful as speech. You don't always need to have the last word. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is pause and let the other person's voice echo for a moment. Listen with your mind, but more importantly, listen with your presence. Because when you master the art of listening, people don't just hear you, they respect you long before you speak. Every word you say leaves an impression, whether you realize it or not. The way you speak shapes how others perceive your confidence, your intelligence, and your credibility. Words carry energy. They either strengthen your presence or dilute it. The people who command respect understand this. They don't speak carelessly. They don't use filler phrases to soften their ideas. They choose their words with purpose because they know that language is power. When you speak with certainty, your words carry weight. When you speak with doubt, even the truth sounds unsure. So often, people weaken their authority without meaning to. They use words like, I think, maybe, or I guess, as if they're asking for permission to be right. Those phrases are small, but their impact is huge. They send a message that you're not completely sure of what you're saying. And when you sound uncertain, people hesitate to trust your judgment. Replace, I think this might work, with, I believe this will work. Replace, I'm not sure, but maybe we could try, with, here's what I recommend. One sounds hesitant, the other sounds confident and professional. Both might express the same idea, but one earns respect while the other asks for it. The words you choose also reveal how you value yourself. When you minimize your language, you minimize your authority. You don't need to apologize for having an opinion. You don't need to shrink your words to make others comfortable. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It means owning your message. If you truly believe in what you're saying, speak as though it matters. Because if you don't believe your own words, no one else will. Credibility begins with conviction. Strong communication is precise and intentional. It doesn't hide behind unnecessary explanations or endless justifications. When you speak, say what you mean and mean what you say. Cut the clutter. Get to the point. When your language is clean and clear, people listen because they can feel your confidence. Even a simple sentence like, "This is what we'll do," creates more impact than a long, uncertain explanation filled with maybes. Clarity shows leadership. Vagueness shows hesitation. Your vocabulary also builds trust over time. The more consistently you speak with strength and calm, the more people will rely on your word. They'll know that when you speak, it's not out of impulse. It's out of thought and conviction. Every great leader, speaker, and communicator earns credibility not by talking more, but by making every word count. They understand that authority doesn't come from being the loudest, it comes from being the most intentional. So, watch your language. Speak with clarity, not caution. Choose words that reflect confidence, not uncertainty. When your speech becomes precise, people begin to associate you with reliability and strength. The words you use tell others exactly how much to believe in you. So make sure they tell the truth, that you're someone worth listening to. Because in every room, respect begins not just with what you say, but with how certain you sound when you say it. Presence is the first thing people notice and the last thing they forget. Long before they remember your words, they remember how you made them feel when you walked into the room. Your presence is your silent introduction. It tells people who you are before you ever speak. Confidence doesn't shout. It settles quietly in the space around you. It's not about appearing perfect or trying to impress anyone. It's about being grounded in yourself. When you move with intention and calm, others instinctively take you seriously. You don't have to demand attention. Your presence earns it naturally. People often mistake speed for confidence. They rush their words, their gestures, their decisions, thinking it shows certainty. But rushing is often rooted in nervous energy, not confidence. True confidence moves slowly. It has rhythm and control. When you speak slower, you allow your thoughts to land. You give your words time to breathe. You show that you're not afraid of silence or stillness. Those pauses, those moments of calm between your words, make people lean in. They sense that what you're saying carries weight. They trust your composure because it reflects inner stability. Presence also lives in the way you hold your body. Straight posture, steady shoulders, and relaxed movements send a message of quiet assurance. It's not about being rigid or robotic. It's about showing ease without insecurity. When you stand tall and move deliberately, people subconsciously feel your balance. They sense that you're in control, not just of yourself, but of the moment. Every movement becomes a message. I am here and I belong. The world listens to people who move like they have nothing to prove. Eye contact is another part of presence that speaks volumes. When you look someone in the eye, not staring, but connecting, you communicate confidence and respect at once. You're telling them, I see you, and I'm not afraid to be seen. That exchange of energy builds trust faster than any introduction ever could. But eye contact is not about dominance. It's about authenticity. It's about meeting people where they are and letting them feel your sincerity. The energy you carry into a room sets the tone for how others respond to you. If you walk in rushed, distracted, or anxious, people sense it immediately. But when you enter with calm focus, the atmosphere changes. People slow down around you. They mirror your steadiness without realizing it. That's what real presence does. It influences the environment without effort. It doesn't chase attention. It commands it quietly. Presence is not built overnight. It's practiced in how you show up, every conversation, every meeting, every moment. It's the discipline of staying centered even when things go wrong, because the person who remains composed when others panic is the one people trust. So speak slower, move with intention, look people in the eye, and let your calm do the talking. Presence doesn't need words to make an impact. It already speaks for you. Respect is not something you can demand from others. It's something you earn by the way you treat them. The people who command true respect never chase it, they reflect it. When you respect others, even those who disagree with you communicate strength, not submission. Respect doesn't mean you have to agree with every opinion or accept every behavior. It means you acknowledge another person's worth, even when you see things differently. That simple act of recognition builds trust and influence faster than force ever could. People may not remember your words, but they always remember how you made them feel. When you value someone's voice, they instinctively begin to value yours. It's human nature. We mirror what we experience. If you dismiss others, interrupt them, or talk over them, they'll do the same to you. But if you listen, maintain eye contact, and respond with thoughtfulness, they'll start matching that same level of respect. Communication is an exchange, not a contest. You can't expect others to hear you if you've never made them feel heard. The moment you make someone feel respected, their defenses drop, and your words begin to land with greater power. Mutual respect is what turns communication into connection. It's what transforms authority into leadership. You can't build loyalty through fear or control. Those things only last until people find a way out. But when you treat others with dignity, even when they're difficult, you build something far more lasting: credibility. People trust those who treat them fairly. They listen to those who make them feel understood. Respect gives your voice longevity. It keeps your influence alive even when you're not in the room. Respect also means knowing when not to speak. Sometimes, silence shows more strength than arguing your point. When someone speaks to you with anger or arrogance, your calm response teaches them more about composure than any lecture could. You don't have to match their energy, you can shift it. When you stay grounded while others lose their balance, you become the one in control. That's the unspoken language of respect. It's not loud, but it's powerful. The way you handle disagreement says everything about your character. When you can express your truth without belittling someone else's, people begin to see you differently. They realize you're not there to compete. You're there to communicate. Respect is not about proving superiority, it's about understanding equality. Every time you choose respect over ego, you strengthen your voice. People may not always agree with you, but they will always remember your composure. Respect is reciprocal because communication is human. The energy you give is the energy that comes back to you. Speak to others the way you want to be spoken to. Listen the way you wish to be heard. Treat every conversation as a chance to lead with grace, not pride, because the truth is simple. When you respect others, you teach them how to respect you, and that lesson, once learned, never fades.